What's going on, guys? This is Empty Box, and today we're going to be talking about rFactor2 and specifically that little news that came out last week about Studio 397. I apologize for not getting to this sooner, but as a couple of people have noted on my previous videos, I've had some audio issues relating to a new PCA built a couple of months ago, and I wanted to go ahead and get that banged out, figured out, taken care of, because it was something that was going to really annoy me for a video of this style. But this is going to be an opinion piece. Very largely, we'll start off with the basic facts. First of all, up until this announcement, or whenever this actually officially goes into plans, I don't know, rFactor2 was Image Space Incorporated's title. It was their product, it was their development, it was their content, it was their everything. That was their thing. They're the same team behind rFactor1, F1 Challenge in 99, 2002, Sports Car GT, go all back and everything. Yeah, those guys. They've essentially sold rFactor2 to Studio 397, which is a new studio run by a guy that you probably might be somewhat familiar with, sorta, maybe, if you're a sim racer, and that is Marcel Offermans. Now, that name might not sound familiar. However, this is the same guy who did the work porting rFactor1 onto the Steam platform and getting it to work with Steam, as well as working with Riza Studios on Automobilista and doing some more work there. So, while he may not necessarily have that name recognition that some of the developers in the sim racing community do, at the same time, it's not a totally random dude. It's a guy who's been sim racing for a long while, and he's got his own development studio. This is what he does for a living. And that's what's enabled him to start up his own studio to take control of rFactor2 and hopefully, I would assume, steer the ship as he wished the ship would be steered. Yeah. So going forward, rFactor2 is Studio 397's responsibility. It's no longer ISI's responsibility. It's not their title. They have nothing to do with it. ISI sold the source code, the materials, the naming rights, the licensing, all that stuff over to Studio 397. Now, the content developers from ISI have stayed on with the rFactor2 team, which is now essentially Studio 397, whereas the coders from ISI, who do the programming and everything like that, have stayed with ISI to work on ISI's next project, which has been called Not rFactor3, which is apparently a racing game of some sort, but there's nothing more that's been said. There's no information out there. It's just not rFactor3. So it's something that's not rFactor3. That's it. It's anything but rFactor3 that they are working on. I assure you of that. As for what Studio 397 is planning for rFactor2, there hasn't been an official roadmap published yet, but there have been a couple of we'd like to do this, we intend to do this type of things, pretty much serving as that roadmap. But first of all, UI improvements and improvements to the front end of the game before you actually get into the car. One of the big things was they plan on moving to an HTML-based menu system, which when people hear HTML, they instantly think like, oh hey, this game's going to be always online, you're going to have to connect to the internet. Not so much. I believe Assetto Corsa uses a similar system to this where it's all HTML based and you can go crazy if you really wanted to. Just a different way of doing things that apparently they feel is better for the application. They promise to release cars and tracks faster than what ISI has been doing over the last couple of years, which I will say, sorry for getting a little snarky, but it'd be pretty dang hard to go any slower if that's actually your job. Just saying. Just saying. That has definitely been one of the downfalls of rFactor2 over the last couple of years. And then, the biggest, best, most important thing that everybody will gravitate to, DirectX 11. Now, time out. I know some people are probably yelling at their monitors that I've just said this news. Why not DirectX 12? Why not Vulkan? Why not all these other new fancy APIs that keep coming out, seemingly? And a lot of that comes down to the fact that, A, DirectX 12 is Windows 10 exclusive, and plenty of people are still not running Windows 10. And I think everybody's seen that debate over the last 2 years, essentially, so we don't need to have it here. But people are going to be sticking with Windows 7 going forward, and that's that. As well as a lot of those other APIs need to be developed really more in a different fashion rather than adapted to, at least from what I've heard, what I've read over the years, that it's kind of a bit of a different change and it has to actually be optimized and built for that rather than just kind of going back and, you know, oh hey, now it's DirectX 12 to get the most out of DirectX 12. For example, there's a couple games out there that you have the DirectX 12 rendering and everything's supposed to run better with DirectX 12 because we saw all the hype like a year and a half ago and we're like, oh yeah! And then when you actually play the game, it's like, hey, I got 2 extra FPS and the game looks exactly the same as DirectX 11. So just calm down on that one. Alongside DirectX 11, they've also announced that they intend to add virtual reality support. Now, they haven't said much more beyond that as to which headsets. I apologize, I don't follow it all that closely right now because I'm more so looking to get a VR headset with the second generation of equipment because I think then it'll be more usable for my personal needs and what I'm looking to get out of it. But, you know, I think it's one of those things where it's good to hear that that support is being announced and that's something that they intend to do, they want to do, rather than what ISI had said under their run of rFactor2, which was kind of the maybe, kind of, probably not, but you know, yeah, you know, that kind of thing where they just kind of like didn't say anything and kind of like downplayed it. I do think that is something where a lot of people will hear that and be like, yeah, I don't want no VR support, that's just taking development time. But I'll say this, hey, I have one screen and I'm perfectly happy with my one screen because that's all you really need in the first place anyways. You don't hear me complaining that the game supports rendering on 3 different screens, now do ya? Okay? It's a standard feature now in sim racing, and I think within a few years VR is also going to be a standard feature within the world of sim racing, and I think, quite frankly, it is for the better, and I think that is a better long-term play than just kind of dodging the VR question and hoping it never comes up, because surely when the headsets get better, people will be less likely to enjoy the virtual reality experience. Sorry, I have to interject snark and sarcasm. So here is where I'm going to break from my plan. I was originally going to do this in one video, but seeing how I've already gone 7.5 minutes on this, I'm going to go ahead and snap it into 2 minutes. Or, yeah, the next video will not be 2 minutes. I'm going to snap it into 2 different videos. In this video, I want to talk more about the facts. The next video will be more about my opinions as to what I'd like to see Studio 397 do. So you can go ahead and find that link down in the description because I'll put the link down there in the description. That's why you'll find it down there. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.